Hey guys, wanted to do a fun little shoot out here. I promised a colleague of mine that she could borrow a couple of sleeping mats this summer. She'll be doing the epic GR20 trail in Corsica, and I'm of course happy to help her. If only because clearly if I can use them to help other people, that definitely means that I don't have too many sleeping mats. But the next question then becomes, which one should I give her? Which one is the best sleeping mat in 2026 for a multi-day shoulder season hike? I got 11 sleeping mats here, all fine in their own way, but I need to find the two best ones. I have a tier list at the ready, so let's get these guys sorted. Starting off, 4 mats that I won't be recommending to my colleague because they just aren't warm enough, but it might be interesting to you if you're mainly planning warm weather hikes. First up is the Exped Ultra 1R. Now, I don't usually like vertical baffles, so I was surprised to be fairly comfortable on this one. It's not warm enough for GR20 use since it can get down freezing temperatures at higher altitudes. But for summer use, this is actually a great contender, lightweight, quiet, and with a great track record in terms of durability and build quality. Also comes with a pump sack that doubles as a dry bag. Very nice. So I'm putting it in the great category. Exped is fairly easy to find on discount. I've seen this under 100 euros, and that really is great value for money. The Ultra 1R may be a featherweight, but it's not the lightest pad I own. That would be this tiny Therm-a-Rest UberLite at 250 grams. I don't know if I should still put it on this list, honestly, since it was discontinued a couple of years ago, apparently because it had too many durability issues. But it's still useful, I think, because it represents the probably too light category. Because there is, of course, a point at which making things ever lighter becomes a liability. I haven't run into any issues myself. I still use it occasionally, since the weight really is next level. This weighs less than half of the average weight of the others on this list, so it deserves at least a great rating. Just don't expect a luxurious experience. This is sort of a trash bag-like material, not all that comfortable, and with a distinct and slightly irritating crinkly sound. Then we got 2 Decathlon products. If you've been here before, you know that I'm a big fan of Decathlon's venture into ultralight territory. Very excited for their upcoming DCF tent and hopefully quilts. But their sleeping mats, with one exception, aren't quite doing it for me. 2 mats I've got here are the MT500 and the MT900 Ultralight. The MT500 honestly has one big thing going for it, and that's the price. This is 57 euros. And if that's all you have to spend, or you're the type of person that can sleep anywhere, then it's not terrible. But I'd probably personally still prefer a better secondhand alternative. The MT900 UL is a small step up. This is Simon's lightest mat at 465 grams, costing 90 euros. And I was excited when they launched this. I like it on paper, but I'm gonna put it in the okay category since I used it enough to know that I won't be using it anymore. I don't know if it's the horizontal baffles or the fabric. It does inspire confidence in terms of durability, but I just don't find it comfortable. If you do get it, I would recommend going for the wider version, and that is actually true for most of the narrow pads on the list. So I won't be lending any of those 4 pads for the GR20 since I don't think they're warm enough. But if you don't have the budget for one of the warmer pads, or you're worried about durability, there's actually a great case to be made for combining one of those with a closed cell foam pad like this Nemo Switchback. This has its own R value of 2, so put it underneath your pad and boom, you've got yourself a 3-season pad plus backup if you get a puncture, plus something that you can use as a sitting pad or a yoga mat or a screen to keep the wind out when you're cooking. Very versatile. That leaves us 7 contenders. Let's tackle them in order, starting with the heaviest. The Therm-a-Rest NeoLoft caused a bit of a stir when it launched because it feels like a different kind of mattress than anything else in this category, thicker and more plush, and it's still somewhat backpackable at 850 grams. So probably not light enough for the GR20, but if you're the kind of person who's just resigned to getting bad sleep on the trail, I think this is worth a look. It really is something different. Great use of flexible materials, very silent, and with a solid R value of 4.7. This is This is an emotional support object, and I think it deserves a spot in the awesome category. One thing to mention is that because it's so thick, it affects the headroom in your tent. And if you have an A-frame tent, or indeed anything with strongly sloping walls at the feet or head end, the NeoLoft will effectively make your tent that bit smaller. So do watch out for that. At 570 grams, here's my favorite Seamold sleeping mat, the MT900 Insulated, 130 euros at Decathlon, and probably the best year-round pad under 150 that I've tested. This has that dimple style design that I prefer over the baffles on the other Seamold sleeping mats. The fabric is still a bit too firm, a bit slippery, but the pad itself is quite plush at 9 centimeters thickness, and under-inflating a little helps to make it a bit softer. Not the comfiest, but I'm still gonna put it in the great category, if only because it's got an R value of 5.4, second highest in this test, making it a true 4-season pad. And at that price, this is a very solid deal. For most people, I would recommend spending 10 euros more and taking the XL version. That extra width is really worth it on a pad like this. Next up, at exactly the same weight, this is one of the most pleasant surprises for me from last year, the Zenbivy Flex Air mattress. This pad, together with the NeoLoft, has opened my eyes to how much a good stretch fabric can add to a sleeping mat. And lately, when I'm not looking for the absolute lightest pad, this is usually what I bring. Warm enough, down to freezing, pairs well with the Zenbivy's excellent sleep systems, but most of all, it's just an amazing mix of comfort and portability. Zenbivy also makes the Ultralight mattress very comparable, honestly, but a little lighter, a little more compact. I like it, but I usually reach for the Flex since that face fabric, for some reason, just does it for me. Still great though. Also very usable as a 3-season solution. Now, if you're like, 3 seasons? I don't think so. I want the 4 seasons. Then the Exped Ultra 6.5R is a good match. Exped says that this has the highest R value to weight ratio on the market. I haven't double checked their math, but the R value of 6.9 is indeed nothing to sneeze at. Based on the first online reviews, especially this one from Justin Outdoors, I'm not yet convinced that we should take that R value at, well, face value. I'm not convinced that it will indeed take you down to and beyond minus 10 Celsius, as it theoretically should. But honestly, if it ever gets that cold in Belgium, I'm not upgrading my sleeping mat. I am upgrading my passport and applying for asylum in Spain. What I can tell you firsthand is that this is quite a comfy pad, and it is indeed impressively light. This is the regular white version, and it comes in at 545 grams for a pad that is 65 centimeters wide and has some serious winter specs. So a solid recommendation if cold weather compatibility is important to you. Hasn't been on the market for very long, so we'll have to see about durability, but Exped has a 5-year warranty and a generous repair policy. So I wouldn't be too worried about that if you buy it at a store that you trust. Finally, the Therm-a-Rest NeoAir XLite NXT. That name sounds like the marketing team was doing a bit too much overtime, and I seem to have lost the bag somewhere along the way. But this has been the most popular sleeping pad on long distance trails like the PCT for years, and for good reason. Very light, starting at 370 grams. This is the rectangular max version, weighing 540 grams. The appeal of this one, I think, is that it's just about the most thoroughly tested mat on the market with a winning combination of size, weight, and warmth. It's not the most comfortable pad for me personally. I'd rate it a 7.5 out of 10 since I like a bit more flex myself, but it has a very loyal following, so I'm clearly not in a majority here. So wrapping up, what do we have in our amazing category? The NeoLoft, the Zenbivy Flex, the Therm-a-Rest XLite, and the Exped 6.5R. Okay, GR20, steep, long days, weight is the enemy. It's not in the Arctic, it's not the summer. I'm gonna take these two away and give them the Zenbivy Flex and the Therm-a-Rest NeoAir XLite NXT, both a little over 500 grams, at least in the wider version that I have here, easily warm enough, very comfy. Of course, these are just the ones that I had lying around. Let me know in the comments which ones I've missed. And if you have any tips for my colleague doing the GR20, let's hear those too. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.